I suspect that a lot of you know these two gentlemen to my right, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. They are, I'm delighted to call them good friends, and they are great colleagues going back many, many years and real leaders in the sustainability world. And if you don't know them, I hope you get the chance to meet them over the next few days. So to my immediate right is Ricardo Young da Silva, who heads Instituto Ethos in Brazil. Ethos is much like BSR, a network of companies that are dedicated to working on sustainability. Ricardo and his friend and colleague Oded Grajev often refer to Ethos as BSR's cousin or little brother, and I always remind them that if that's the case, sometimes the little brother grows up to be even taller than the big brother. Ethos is a marvelous organization that makes a lot of very important things happen. Ernst Ligteringen is the executive director of the Global Reporting Initiative. Ernst has been in this role now for 6 years, I believe. Seven years. He wears it well. And the GRI has just grown and grown and grown, and is one of those institutions which, if for some reason it didn't exist, we would immediately look to start it again. Ernst has, I think, shepherded the institution, evolved it, done so incredibly efficiently, and the GRI is really one of those benchmark gold standards that everyone refers to. And we thank both of you for your work, and we're now going to talk about some of the things that are shaping the world of sustainability. So I just gave a talk about what I see as some of the things that characterize our reset world. Ricardo first, then Ernst. What do you think are the most important characteristics of the reset world?
I think that in a way, the crisis we had last year was a blessing to all the changes we will have to face, because one of the consequences of the crisis was that companies were challenged in their transparency and their ethics and their behavior. And now, in this climate change discussion, we will need companies that will have to be up to this challenge of collaborating with civil society, collaborating with government, being very transparency and very bold in helping to build a new economy. Then in a way, I think that the license to operate to the companies in general are pushing the companies to be better and be more prepared to this new economy.
I want to come back to the topic of being bold and hear a little bit more about that. I think it's a great topic. Ernst, what do you view as the key characteristics of the reset world?
I think the reset world is a world in which we have come to grips with the second crisis that's happening now. The second crisis that still many are grossly underestimating. You just spoke, Aron, about Copenhagen. We're coming to grips now with the fact that climate change is real, that urgent action is needed, and even there we know now that there isn't an absolute consensus, that is still questioned. Yet climate change is only, and emissions are only the tip of the sustainability iceberg. There is much more to come still, and I'm talking now really longer term. And that crisis is unfolding, but is unfolding in slow motion. And we have enormous difficulties to recognize what is happening and to act on it. And also to recognize that over and I'm talking now in a number of decades, a couple of decades, the fundamentals of our economy are going to have to change. This is not a matter of option, is this beneficial and should we go for it? We have simply no choice. And I see beyond Copenhagen a few very important pointers. I'd first of all refer to the T process, the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity, a report that the United Nations Environment Programme will put out in September. Why is this so significant? It raises not only the notion that our effects on the environment should be measured and value should be attached to it. It makes a shift that actually starts to attempt to put value on living systems, to recognize the planet for a living organism that it is, a planet that actually sustains how we live there. It introduces economic concepts that we in a reset world will have to come to grips with. At this moment, we're very badly equipped, and the GRI is a first step also, or is a step in that direction, where we're aiming to develop metrics to understand how we can relate differently to a world that we, by 2050, should be sharing with about 9 billion people, all earning, as you just referred to, a little bit more and doing well. Well, the big question is, how are we going to do that?
So you used a very important word, Ricardo, bold. And Ernst, I think you picked up on it, and you're implying that maybe we're being a little too timid in dealing with these. So what causes businesses and other institutions to act boldly on slow motion challenges when it's a lot easier just to try to make it through, especially because in times when making it through doesn't always seem to be a given? So how do we make these changes happen?
It's
not too hard a question, is it?
Very difficult question. I think that first of all, we have to understand that the changes will have to have, as you said, a systemic approach. Business are fantastic entities to push innovation, but the kind of innovation we're speaking here, it will not depend on the market only. It will depend on the whole society. Then we have to listen to the civil society. We have to induce governors to act in a different way. We have to act in a non-defensive way and much more in an entrepreneurial and open vision of how we will be able to build a new society. Copenhagen is so important because I think that Copenhagen is more important than Doha. Because while in Doha, countries are discussing the advantages and disadvantages of the rules on world trade, in Copenhagen, for the first time, countries will have to agree in new regulations and new commitments on world governance. And a world governance that will set new parameters to business, to society, to political leaders, and so on and so forth. And I think that Copenhagen will be, and it doesn't matter if it will work or fail. What it really matters is there will be a new stage where the world governance will start to be discussed with consequences to everyone. Then, businesses, to be bold, means to be acting in a systemic approach, in a multi-stakeholder approach, and looking to innovation, not only innovation, as you said, from the door inside the company, from the walls inside the company, but innovation in a systemic approach, where the companies will not be able to innovate in it by themselves. They will have to innovate on the value chain. They will have to cooperate. It's a whole new set of abilities that will be required for the business leaders.
Ernst, how does this change happen? How can companies act boldly on these big global challenges?
Many bold people in charge, but that
we
aside.
shouldn't underestimate that, actually.